Hi, I'm Dave. I live in Wisconsin, and you're watching Etsy Shop Audits.
So, and I'm just trying to understand everything before we kind of really dig in. Because, like right now, it sounds like things are working pretty good, right? But my only, not concern, but the reason why you might not be getting as many sales is just because. All right, Dave, welcome to Etsy Shop Audits. I'm excited to have you. This is one that we've never, ever done before as far as this type of niche. So I'm excited about this because it's something different. So the shop name is 5th Gen Runner. And then the shop age, you had February 2024. So we're not quite a year yet. The niche is 5th Gen Forerunner owners. And then the sticking point is more traffic. And you said more eyeballs. And that's what we want, right? We want some traffic. And then the total revenue so far is $10,260. Now, that's probably a little bit more because since you did the intake, it's probably gone up a little bit. And 592 total sales. Your income goal is $30,000 a year. Does that sound accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay, cool. What about the revenue number? Is that the same or has that increased?
It's increased a little from there. It's up to like 14.
Oh, okay. That's a good jump. I like that.
Well, that's a sales, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see. I got you. Okay. All right. So, with that all being said, let us know a little bit, I guess, like where this came from, like where you came up with the idea. I never would think that Forerunners, 5th gen would be a thing. But I didn't know Jeeps were a thing either until I owned one. All right. So can you fill us in a little bit on the backstory?
Sure. My wife owns the Forerunner, and she's in all these Forerunner groups, and we saw that they modded their Forerunners quite a bit. There were some products out, like the drawers, and we sell a cover that goes over a D-ring. Those were out, so I thought I had just recently bought a 3D printer, so I thought what way to make good use of it than printing up these parts. So we tried it and we put them online and they started selling. So we started expanding, and we just right now we're up to 11 or 12 different things, and we've got some more in the works. So far it's going good. Everybody likes to customize their Forerunners, change the colors on them, or get rid of the chrome. That's the main thing.
It's really interesting. And you're not the first person that I've heard that has done this, not necessarily for Etsy, but with a 3D printer and making something like, again, with a 3D printer, you're kind of limited as like how big you're going to create something, but it's pretty interesting that you were able to do that. Chris, can we pull up the shop and let's go ahead and let's take a look at it. And I want to see some of the products that you are, in fact, selling. Now, one thing while he's doing that, let me ask you, Dave. So where did the first idea for the first product come to you? That you were like, you know what, let's create this because I think people are wanting it, or we want it, or you heard about it in a group. Like, where did you get the idea to even start selling this first product or create the first product?
It was from the Forerunner groups that my wife's in. And she told me that people like this type of stuff. These accessories for the Forerunners. Mm-hmm. And since I just had got that 3D printer, she thought, well, maybe we can try making some of that.
Got it.
So that's where the idea came from.
Okay. And now in these Forerunner groups, do people have like meetups and stuff too?
I'm not sure if they have any meetups. We just hang out in the groups. I don't.
Okay. And so are just people just talking about how they're modifying them, how they're customizing them? Like what's the discussion? I'm just curious.
Right. Yeah. They show off their mods they got. I mean, everything you could think of. They want to change. They want to change the look of it, the colors, and get rid of the chrome. That's a big thing. They put a lot of chrome in them. The bolts, they leave exposed bolts they want covered. Mm-hmm. All sorts of little things like that.
Okay. And so what was your first product then that you guys created?
The first thing we made was a drawer. It was a different drawer than what was out there. It was a bowed drawer.
Okay.
It allowed a little bit more room for things than the flat drawers. When that started selling, we went on to the D-ring covers, which cover up these D-rings where you hook cargo hooks to.
Okay.
It covers that so it doesn't get all dusty and dirty. A lot of people like take their Forerunners off road.
Mhm.
and keeps them a little cleaner.
So you know what I love about this too. So again, as we're doing these, I'm like coming up with ideas and I have questions because I'm just trying to understand the niche because I wouldn't think like I haven't seen even people on Etsy, and maybe it's just because I haven't been looking for it, but I haven't seen people like selling accessories much for cars, although there are probably a bunch of them out there. Now that I'm hearing about this, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. But you did have an advantage because you have a 3D printer, you understand how to use it, make the parts, things like that. But something like this is great because it's a group of people that they're wanting to modify their Forerunners, kind of like the Jeep community. I kind of think of this like the Jeep community. Like I own a Jeep Wrangler, and it's like I didn't realize that until after I bought it, that there's people that wave at you every single time you go by them, and you're like, at this point, it's kind of like, all right, like I've got a lot of Jeeps in my area. I'm constantly waving at people. Can I just have a break? But my point is this is also something that someone would come back and buy more things from you, which I really, really like. Because I think whenever Chris and I are talking about like building out a brand, we're talking about like getting more to that sale. Are you noticing people buying more in your shop off of one sale? Like, are they adding more to an order? Or is it just one off?
Yes, we're getting a lot of repeat buyers. And since Etsy started that promotion where you can get more items and then you get a discount, since I started that, I've been getting multiple orders quite often.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Are you running Etsy ads?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How much are you spending at this time?
$10 a day. But lately I've been just running them at night. That seems to be when our traffic area is.
Interesting.
So in the evening, I shut them off during the day, most days, and then turn them back on.
Yeah, there is no auto feature. That is something I wish Etsy would build in, but they don't have that. But that would be a nice little thing.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes on how these Etsy shop audits even happen. Every single month, Chris Schaefer and we meet and we batch record 3 to 4 of these episodes. Then they get edited and they get posted like the one you're watching right now. But what we decided to do is create what we call our Backstage Pass Club. This is where all of our club members, they get to join us on that recording as we're doing it live. The other cool thing is you're able to ask questions and you also can get access to the recordings before they ever air, immediately, raw and unedited. You even get all the questions that were asked that you might have missed because, well, maybe you couldn't attend that one live. So if you'd like to be part of our Backstage Pass Club and join our next batch recording session, head on over to brandcreators.com/club or click the link in the description. Now let's get back to the audit.
So what you're telling now, do you burn through that whole budget of $10?
Quite often, yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've also gone through and did what you guys suggested. I went through and turned off the irrelevant searches that appear in those ads.
Perfect.
So,
okay. And so, I mean, I think that's very interesting. So you're basically turning your ads on at a certain time. Now, do you just do it kind of like you get home, you turn them on, and then in the morning you shut them off? Like, how does that work? What kind of schedule you're using there?
I try to get them on around 6 o'clock and usually turn them off by 10 or 11.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So you're only really running them for a very short period of time then, really?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's
Chris,
just what I think we've found that's when the most people are clicking on them. You seem to get a lot of traffic during those hours.
interesting. So Chris, I'm curious your thoughts because Chris is, he's the ads guy. I mean, not just on Etsy, but I mean, I'm just curious. I would have thought like if you turn something on and off and you keep doing that, it would have a little bit of a delay to kind of get it back in running. Doesn't appear to be that way.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Basically, as soon as you turn ads on, it should work, right? The only question would be, are we getting pulled out of the algorithm during a better buying period? And if Dave has the data to say, hey, nobody's doing this in the morning anyway, or it doesn't convert until 1 o'clock, then by all means turn it off. But we do have to go back and look at that data to say, okay, let me run this all day and see what happens in the first half of the day. Just jump in, check sales, check clicks, check all of those kinds of things. And then you can do that. Unfortunately, Etsy doesn't give us the ability to do anything really advanced with ads like gating based on hours, which is a fairly common thing in the e-commerce world. You will see different buyer behaviors at different times. So it's not really a huge surprise. And this to me would be one thing, right? You come home from work and your wife or your husband is like, man, I hate that drawer in the stupid thing. I'm really tired of the Chrome. And you go look at it. It's not necessarily something you're going to be looking for throughout the day. It's going to be after you get out of the car for the day. And that thing has frustrated you to the point where you're just like, I'm done. I'm done with this stupid Chrome. I want something else. So it's definitely possible. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was a different buying behavior to something like this, because it's a specific piece for a specific thing, which means we're going to have a lot more specific searches for it at different times of day versus a mug where you're like, maybe you're drinking tea in the morning or decaf coffee in the afternoon. You're like, I just dropped my stupid mug. I need to go buy one. That's going to happen all day long. So
yeah,
as long as he's able to turn it on and get those clicks right away, I would just keep doing it as long as it's working for him.
Well, yeah. And so then the next question would be on your ads, Dave, are they profitable right out of the gate?
Actually, yes. The last couple of things were.
Okay.
The first few things, probably not. The last couple have been.
Okay.
And also, it's when we started setting the time for the ads, it's like we go through our budget in the morning.
Okay.
And we don't get a lot of clicks or buys from that. But we noticed more buys coming in the afternoon when our budget was more spent. And we didn't have a lot of budget left for the ads. So
got it.
That's why I slid it back.
Yeah, and that's smart. And okay, so, and I'm just trying to understand everything before we kind of really, really dig in, because like right now, it sounds like things are working pretty good, right? But my only, not concern, but the reason why you might not be getting as many sales is just because it might be a very niche, market, right? It's really, really niche down. So it's kind of like, all right, how can we still continually grow and get more sales without necessarily relying on just Etsy organic search and without Etsy ads? And you probably know where I'm going to go with this, and it's going to be with email, right? So have you started building any type of email list yet?
I have.
You have. Okay. Where are we at with that?
I've got about 16 subscribers.
Okay.
So it's growing.
When did you start that?
Maybe a month to 2 months ago.
Okay. And my next question is, where are you gathering them? Like, where are you getting them from?
When I send out a order on a receipt, I put, join our mailing list and that little option to give you the right. I send out a card with our shop name and also with our mailing list address on. And on the paperwork, it also has a QR code on, so it's easier to scan.
What's the offer for them to join? What does it say?
30%.
30%. That's strong. Okay. So 30%.
And I didn't want to offer a 30% discount on any other way but through the mailing list.
Got it. Okay. And so 30% off. And is it saying just basically sign up and get 30% off? Is that kind of it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it also says we give free giveaways, like drawings.
Good.
And promotional items you get if you want to try testing them. You can do that through the email list. So.
Okay. And so you've gotten about 16 email subscribers from that. Those are customers, which is great. And would you say, because you've got over 500 orders, how long before you started doing that? Like, how many orders do you think you've had since you've turned that on?
I don't. We've been averaging maybe 3 to 4 orders a day.
3 to 4 orders. Okay.
And so I didn't see an increase just from the email list yet.
I'm kind of trying to see like when you started to actively build the email list. So how we're doing with that. Like, is there 150 customers that have come through and you got 16 of those? Like, I'm trying to see where that came from.
I don't know. I don't have data on how many customers came through
When did you start the list, Dave?
Probably a month or two ago.
Okay, so you said it was 3 to 5 sales a day, right?
Correct.
So let's just say 5 sales a day times 60, right? That's 300.
It was
You
like
said
3
there's
to 4.
16.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's call it 400 sales since then, right? So, and you said there's 16 people on the list right now?
Correct.
So that's a 4% conversion rate, right? That's great coming from just an insert card. Now, that will build over time. And Scott, I think where you were going with this is, since we're already involved in all of these groups, is there a way that we can get people who are otherwise interested in 5th gen Forerunners? That's a mouthful to say, by the way.
Yeah.
If we can get some of those people in on that list, we can turn them into buyers very easily by using something like the fishbowl method, right? Have you heard us talk
100%.
about that in the past?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is something that I was definitely going towards. So if you're part of this group and if you're active in the group, and it's not saying you're going to go out there and like just, it sounds like you or your wife is active. So if you are active, then it's not going to be weird for you to be like, hey, we're doing something for the holidays. We're going to do, we actually create, custom products for our Forerunner. We now have an Etsy shop. We're going to be giving away, a Forerunner Christmas bundle. And then you advertise that, you know what I mean? And you can do that probably free within the group. The other thing I would do is I would probably then target, people that are, that own Forerunners or that are part of those groups. And I'm not quite sure how we would do that, but you would basically even just call it out in your copy. Have you considered doing a giveaway at this point yet?
We did one giveaway. We gave away a drawer set, and it went over well. We had a pretty good response on that. And for the winner, we sent them the drawer, and the other ones we gave a discount.
So you did that. Did you collect emails from that?
I'm sorry. I was confused. We did that for the people on our email list, the giveaway.
Okay.
I didn't do a giveaway to collect emails.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. That's good. But I would like to, this is what I would do. I would be doing the giveaway outside of who's already purchased and who's on my list, so I can then attract those people. Okay. Right. So, how much are the products technically, like how much do they range from? Like, could you build a bundle that's worth $100?
Sure. Could do that.
Okay. So that's what I would probably do is I would put together a bundle and then advertise that on Facebook because that's where your groups are. And then I would basically run that for 14 or 30 days. I'd probably even do it for 30 days and then just run that. Have you heard about and kind of watched how we do our giveaways?
I've heard about them. I don't necessarily, I haven't watched them, but I've
okay. Okay. It's a very, very simple process. We call it the fishbowl method. And the reason why we call it that is because my wife and I did this years ago with our photography business with a fishbowl. And we literally would have people fill out a little piece of paper that would say their name and their email address, fold it, put it in the fishbowl. And at the end of the night, it was a gala that we did. It was a fundraiser. And then we'd pull it out and be like, oh, John, Smith, your family won a photography session. And then we would have 100 other people that didn't win, but we knew now that they had a family and they wanted their pictures taken, right? So the same idea would apply here. You go into that group or you go into Facebook. I would do both. And then I would basically create this bundle, and the bundle is going to be the thing that's going to attract people, because if people are all into their Forerunners and you're going to throw that in that group, people are going to be throwing their name in the hat like crazy, right? Okay. So then you're able to get them on your email list. You take that 16 subscribers and bring it up to, I don't know how big the groups are, but 300, 500 emails within one giveaway. And then from there, you can start to use some email marketing strategies to then show people that you offer these different various products. And if you got a new product coming out, you let people know, I got a new color, and now you go from 2 to 3 sales a day to maybe 10 sales a day. Right. So that's what I would do. And actually the way that we do it, we actually, in our email guide, we actually walk you through part of that. I say part of it. We don't go too deep because there's a lot of, click here, go here, but it does give a really, really a good rundown on kind of how it works. We'll send you a copy of that. But if anybody else is watching this and you want a copy of that, just put email in the comments and we'll send you a copy. But basically, you're just letting people that are interested raise their hand by putting their name in that hat, right? And now you know they're Forerunner owners. How many people are generally in those groups that you guys belong to?
Oh, thousands.
Yeah. 50 to 60, Scott, is the average just scrolling through Facebook groups just now. 50 to 60,000 seems to be that middle of the road number.
Yeah. So, and that would be something like, I don't know how active and how friendly you are, if the admin's cool. I don't know any of that. You may want to even just reach out to the admin and go, hey, I want to give away, $100 worth of our product or $150 worth of our product. We are active members in here. We love the group, but we just want to give back. Are you cool with us doing that? I don't know why they would care, because you're giving something away for free to their group that their group's going to be like, this is awesome. Like, this is great. So I would do that. That's free. But then I would spend $5 a day on Facebook and do it for 30 days. And I'm telling you right now, like, we've built multiple lists. I've built so many lists using that strategy. We actually built that a list to launch our e-commerce brand that we now have sold, that did multiple millions of dollars on Amazon. So, I mean, it all started with that same method. So for your thing, telling me people are like raving fans about like modding out their Forerunner, you get people on a list, it's pretty powerful.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would definitely consider that. Chris, let's look through some of the other stuff though. But yeah, go ahead. But I want to get through some of the store. I want to just look at and make sure everything's kind of optimized and stuff.
The other thing I was doing in the background here while we were talking about the giveaway, Scott, is I wanted to look to see if Forerunner was a targetable interest on Facebook. If you can find your exact niche as a targetable interest for Facebook ads, it means you can massively increase the number of people you get into one of those giveaways if you're willing to put a couple dollars a day behind a Facebook ad. And again, we talk about all of that inside the email guide. Forerunners specifically are an interest that is marked by Facebook as something you can advertise to. So it would be very easy for us, Dave, once you kind of get your feet under you, you get some of those organic entries from the groups to put a few dollars a day behind that post and get massive reach. I think the targetable reach in the US was around 5 million people. Probably on the high end of optimistic, because we're only talking specifically right now about the 5th generation people, but getting them onto the list wouldn't be bad anyway, because it then lets us say, hey, maybe there's a massive interest here for the 4th gen, or maybe there's people looking for something that it is the same part across 2 or 3 different model years or whatever it is. And so even if they're not our exact target audience, they either are close or will be, and they can make us additional product recommendations. So you don't ever have to guess moving forward about what it is you should be making. You'll get emails from people saying, hey, I see you only sell the 5th generation stuff. It pretty much fits, but if there's something for the 4th generation that you could do like this, there's the possibility we could add that in down the road if we wanted to. Scott, I think if we take a look right over here at the shop, we can see everything right now. So first things first, let's take a look at the banner. Let's just do a quick shop analysis as we work our way down, and then we'll run the Everbee analysis and go from there.
Perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the banner goes, I mean, I think it says it all, right? Like, I mean, it shows everything. So, I mean, you did a great job there. Your logo, pretty simple. It's a Forerunner, right? So we got that there, and then your face is showing up. So that's good as well. We always like to see that. 5-star seller. So everything's good there. So as far as a conversion optimization side for your shop, like all those boxes are checked pretty good. Your announcement looks good. Yeah, I mean, it says it all there. So there's not much more that we can do with that. The only thing is with the announcement, if you wanted to add your VIP, you might want to do that.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I wasn't sure I could do that in Etsy or not and put the link there. So
yeah, I mean, cause again, you're telling people to go there to get on the VIP list, but when people go there, they're going to get a link going back to Etsy. I wouldn't drive them to a website. I wouldn't drive them away from Etsy, just in case Etsy said, "Oh, are they trying to pull people off of the platform?" And so that way, there it would just cover yourself. So it'd be like get like join the VIP list and get an instant 30% off your next Etsy order. Right. And then that way there, you're clear about that. do you have a domain name that you purchased for the VIP, or is it some?
I do have a domain. Yes.
You do.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And it's 5th Gen Runner.
Okay.
.com.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and this
the page is actually signup.5thgenrunner.com/welcome, but it goes to that domain.
Got it. Okay. So I guess that was the point. So like if you were going to put a link for someone to enter into their browser, it would be what now? It would be
signup.5thgenrunner.com/welcome.
So that I would probably buy a domain name that was like 5thgenvip.com.
Okay.
And then I would forward it to here. And the reason why, it's like you could get a domain for $10, right? For the year.
Right.
You take that, you forward it now over to this page. That way in your announcement, you can put in there, sign up to our VIP list here. And then it would be like 5thgenvip.com. And someone can go, type it in or on their phone real quick, right? It's nothing like they don't have to put in dots and hyphens or whatever, right? Like we want to make that as easy as possible. So that's probably what I would do there. This looks good. 30% off your next order and your name and email. Perfect. Yeah. Like I think
the only change I would make to this, and Dave, I think the reason you have this on the subdomain of sign up is because you're building a Shopify site on the main domain. Is that what I saw? Right. So the only change I might make here in the short term is just including the word Etsy. So 30% off your next Etsy order. So that they know that they're in the right place, right? They do see the banner, and I understand that, but for lack of a better way to say this, people are dumb, right? So if they don't know exactly, if it doesn't match exactly what their expectation is when they come from Etsy, and we don't say Etsy order, they may think, oh, I somehow ended up in the wrong place. So if we can just include that, then we're going to be good to go. Same thing in the copy on the page, 30% off your next Etsy order, 5thgenvip.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Something smooth like that, I think would work really well. But yeah, this all looks good. Oh, the only other thing, Chris, go back. So where it says subscribe, I would probably change that to say, yes, send me the discount, or yes, sign me up or something like that instead of subscribe. A lot of times people think of subscribe like it's like a recurring subscription. You know what I mean? Like we don't that could be a conversion problem here, just like it would be on Etsy. Is we want people to realize that they're signing up, yes, but they're going to get the thing that they're entering to get the thing, right? So I think I would change subscribe. Yeah.
Yes, make me a VIP, right?
Yep.
Just make everything the same language. That usually helps people make sure that they're in the right place.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the store here really quick, Scott. Is there a particular listing you wanted to look at, or do you want to take a look at the store as a whole?
Yeah. Is there anything that you wanted us to look at here, Dave, that you wanted us to drill into as far as products?
Just kind of general, seeing what I can improve.
Okay.
I know it's not perfect, so whatever you guys can tell me I need to improve on, I will definitely do that.
Okay. Let's look at one of these, Chris. So this one here is the 4Runner rear bumper bolt cover accessories for 5th gen Toyota. Okay, and let's go ahead and click on it. Can we view that in?
Hey, I wanted to cut in here real quick. If you're wondering what tool we're using to gather all of this information and to really make these important decisions on products, well, the tool is called Everbee. It's the only tool that we personally use for everything Etsy. They have everything from product research, keyword research, and they also offer email marketing now. That tool you can get access to absolutely free when you visit brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you'll get 10 free searches for the month. You can try it out before you invest in this tool. My recommendation is every single Etsy seller should be using this tool. So if you want to try it, go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, and you can go ahead and get access to it immediately. All right, let's get back to the audit.
In Etsy. There we go. Okay. And let's see here. I do like it that you have the save 20% when you spend 40 plus at this shop. That's a good thing to have there. That's a good conversion thing. You're converting it over 2%. That's great. Got the bestseller badge. That helps. You got a video in there. That's smart. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much that I would do here. The only other thing that you might be able to add here, and again, we're like nitpicking to try to increase your conversions. Like that's really all we're trying to do. Like if we can get that 2 to a 3, now for every 100 people, we get 3 orders, not 2. You know what I mean? So we want to kind of increase that. The only thing I would say here is if you have any good testimonials or any good reviews, you could take a couple of those, put them on a screen, and then, share them in here. Because as people are thumbing through the images and they see that, they're like, oh, it's kind of like you're putting it in front of their face. They don't have to go look for it because not everybody's going to click on your 5-star reviews.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, very, very good pictures and it shows everything. Yeah, it looks good.
The other thing that stands out to me, by the way, these videos are great. And I'm glad you have a Forerunner so that you can make these videos, right? You can just go outside. You're like, let me do, what was that, like midnight teal or something, right? Like, let me just do a random color because I found the thread for the 3D printer at a great price. You can go out and create that. But you mentioned, Dave, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that you've seen an increase since you started doing the save 20% when you spend 40 plus, right?
That is correct. I have.
Have you played around with their bundle feature at all yet?
As far as bundling like 2 items together or 3 items together, no. So far, I've just done the price.
So what you might see, and you'll be able to tell this from the sales history. You have enough sales history now that you will probably see the 2 or 3 things that people often buy together. Chances are, if they're buying this, there's they're looking for another cover or something like that, or they want the drawer to match. If we can take a look at the sales where people have bought multiple items, that lets us create the bundle, which makes this substantially more effective. 1, they don't have to go browse through the shop. 2, it gives them the add to cart button right there. And so if there's something we see consistently over and over again, that this is always being sold with a drawer, or they want to match their cup holders to the drawer, or they want to match their cup holders to the plugs, then we can bundle those 2 things together, give them that same savings, and potentially see an even bigger uptake on the increase in the number of multiple product purchases. Does that make sense?
Yes, and there's definitely a pattern like that where they do buy certain things together.
And that's great to have. So if you do have that, then I would definitely that would be like an action step that I would say to do is to set up the bundle, because you can have up to 3 products, I believe it is. Well, it's add 2. So basically 3 total. And so what would happen here is if you knew that something else sold with this one here, you're going to select that, and then they're going to be recommended it on this page to add it to their cart. So you're suggesting it for them instead of them going back to your shop, looking through. It's like you're going like, these 2 work great together. That's why Amazon has done that for years, and Etsy has done it somewhat. They're not as good as Amazon with like cross promoting, but Amazon is. If you ever notice on Amazon, you start scrolling and it'll be like these 2 things were frequently purchased together, right? You're forcing that by you selecting those items. And then for every listing, so for like, let's say it's 3 products. This product right here is going to recommend these 2 products. If someone lands on this product, they're going to recommend these 2 products. And it's just kind of like you have like this self-promotion happening within these 3 products now.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even realize Etsy did that.
Yeah, they just rolled it out not that long ago.
It's brand new.
Yeah. So I would definitely take advantage of that.
What we'll often see is this works, right? Because people can go buy their own stuff.
Yep.
But a lot of the people who click shop the sale go, I don't know. Do I need this? Do I not need that? By cutting that out and saying, hey, this goes with this. And I think correct me if you feel differently on this, but just looking through the store, something like the plug covers or the D-ring covers is going to get purchased with this, right? You're probably going to sell cup holders and drawers together because it's the whole front of the Forerunner that people are taking a look at. And so I think that could be a really interesting way to start to increase your order size without having to increase sales. And I think, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think the revenue was right around 10,000, right? And we wanted to try to get that to about a 30,000 net.
Yes.
Do you know what your margins are right now?
Eddie, Average is about 65%
That's great.
across all the items.
That's amazing. That's
Some
good.
items are more, some items are less.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we did, trying to think of what that would be, right around 50,000 in sales, right? Somebody correct my my math in the chat. But if we get to the entire store around 50,000 in sales, then we're netting that 30,000 profit. It'd be like 31 or 32 if we got to that level. An easy way to do that without even having to worry about the traffic, which we also need to focus on, right, is to just increase the average order size. Because if we can get somebody to buy 2 things, then a month later, they're going to come back and they're a higher value customer for us already. And so that would be a really interesting experiment to run, especially with something like this, where they want all the colors to match, or they want them to absolutely clash, and they're going to buy, purple for this and a green for that, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I know all the graphic artists are yelling at me in the chat that purple and green go together, whatever it is. But you get my point. And so if we can do that, not only will that increase our average cart value, but it also increases the value of that first customer, which means we can spend a little bit more on ads without impacting that margin as much. And so it lets us do something like the giveaway model and run some Facebook ads without having to worry about, if I spend $3 a day over the next month, is that going to really hurt my margins? No, because if we get even one sale from that, we know it's going to cover that. So I would play around with a few of those kinds of things. Scott, if you're looking at this listing, what would you suggest in terms of conversion optimizations on this to get this from that like 2% to 3%? Is there anything in the top portion of this listing that really stands out to you?
Yeah, the only thing that I see that would potentially help with that is having a sale right off the bat. Like instead of it being just $25 even, it's like even if you had like 10% off, like something that's going to then, it's not even there to show someone they can buy it for cheaper. It's necessary. It's there to actually draw attention, and you're going to see the strike through. Like just like you see where it shows up in green where it says save 20% when you spend $40 plus. So obviously you're not going to have 20% on here and then that, because that's not going to work as well. Okay. Now when you do click on that, you can see some of your other items here. So that is good. So running the sale could probably bump you a little, but because you already have this here and then it automatically goes into your products, I'm not sure it would have that much lift, Chris. The only difference is it would show up in different places that Etsy is showing sale items. If you're not, even though you're offering a 20% discount when someone offers 40 or buys $40 or more, it doesn't mean you're going to show up in the sales area when Etsy is promoting sale items. Because when people are searching, they have a little area there where it's like search for, sales, and then you're not going to show up there. So that's my only thing. Like it can help you organically for people that are searching, but also if people land here, seeing that might bump you. But because you are running the save 20%, Chris, I don't know if it would make that big of a lift, but that's the only thing that I can see right here. Are you seeing something else?
The thing that occurs to me, one, a promotion is always worth a test, right? And even though we're doing the 20% off when you spend 40 or more, yes, most people want all these things to match, but some people just broke their stupid bolt cover and they want a replacement. So they're going to come, they're going to add it to their cart, and then it's going to sit there. If we can run a promotion, it will alert those people. The other question that I have is, what does this number look like over time, right? This is in 13 carts right now as we speak, which means we have 13 sales on the table. What can we do to push those people over the edge? That sounds terrible out of context, but how can we get them to buy instead of just leaving it in the cart? Now, we know from e-commerce generally that about 70% of people abandon carts, right? Between 67 and 70, depending on who you ask and when they ran the study and all of that happy stuff. Are we on the back end sending out the abandoned cart emails that Etsy allows us to do with a little bit of a discount? Are we doing that already?
Mm-hmm. We are. We're doing every discount Etsy allows for the abandoned cart, the thank you, and what's the other one? There's a third one.
There's favorites, there's the thank you email, and then there's the abandoned carts. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what we can do, we can always reset that. And I don't know, I'd have to look to see if they changed it, but it used to be, at least as of like 2 weeks ago, if you went in, ended the current offer and created a new one, even if it's the same exact one, you could select a time period to go back. And Scott, do you remember, was it 30 days?
I think it's at least 30. It used to be 90, but I think it's 30 now.
And so it would automatically alert everybody again just to get them over the edge. So that may be worth doing. The other thing would be, let's just throw a couple dollars worth of a sale on this, 15, 20% for a couple days just to see what happens, to see if that conversion rate goes up. What we're trying to do is not run this at a discount forever. We're trying to get these people to turn into customers. And we know if we can turn them into a customer once, we can turn them into a customer again and again. We also have a great chance, based on what you told us already, of getting them on that email list. So even just running a limited time discount to see if we get any of those people to turn into customers and we get a temporary increase in that conversion rate is something that's worth doing. And it's a tool we can keep in the toolbox, right? Anytime we see there's 40, 50 people in the cart, let's go do that for a day or two and see what happens, right? Yes, we lose a little bit of margin, but we have very healthy margins because you're manufacturing the product and we can afford that. And if we can get them as a customer, then we can sell them the cup holders and the drawers and all of those other things that they're going to want down the road once they've had the experience with your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I do run a sale, I put a little banner on the image, and I do notice quite a difference. People do start buying. Same thing when they post in a link in Facebook, and they bought it and they're happy and they list it. You notice surges then too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so you're posting something in Facebook in that group?
No, people who've bought from us post
okay.
it. And when they post it, then we see a bump in sales, because just for about a day and a half, while that post is towards the top.
Yep.
And after that, it kind of fades away. But
yeah, that's really good. So, okay, Chris, go ahead. And we got a couple more things, and then we're going to wrap this one up, but I got some homework for you.
Yeah, I was going to say the other thing, and Scott, you mentioned this, the other thing that could be a conversion rate booster is taking some of these and replacing one image slot. Dave did something that I absolutely love, and it's something we've talked about in the past, Scott. Instead of trying to take 100 photos of all the different colors, he's using a color swatch, which I think is good. If there's any way that we could shorten these a little bit and free up this image slot, then we have an image slot that's just a free image slot that we can start to include those reviews in. The other thing would be, can we take something like this and, for lack of a better term, sexy it up a little bit by throwing a review underneath it, or taking something like this and throwing a review underneath it, as long as we have permission from the customer, that's okay, right? So it says, hey, these are the perfect fit, I think was what one of these said. Yeah, perfect and durable must have. It met my expectations, yada, 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 right? That will help get people over the edge. The other thing we may want to take a look at is just the product description. I think you did a very good job here. The only thing we may want to change is just right at the top, making it clear that it's for a 5th gen Forerunner, even though that's literally the name of the shop, even though it's in the product title. There's going to be a lot of people coming to this listing that have that question, and they're just not sure about it. And so if we can include that again to just say, hey, this bolt cover fits snugly over exposed bolts for all 5th gen Forerunners or whatever models you cover, that will help them know exactly what they're doing.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, to me, I think it's pretty clear on what you should be focusing on. I think you're in a great little niche, and I think it's great that they have these groups out there, and you guys are active in those, and I think you should stay active. But if you can build your email list and really focus on that being part of your marketing strategy, because you have to look at this like that's marketing. Like you said, when someone posts something in Facebook, you see an influx in sales. The same thing happens when you send an email, right? The same thing. The difference is you have control over it, right? So, and the other cool thing is like, let's say that you have something new that's coming out. You're immediately going to be able to let these people know because they signed up to know. And you're going to also be able to give them a special discount because they're on your list. And then you're going to have a time deadline on that. So that'll also help to increase those, which then will also help your rankings and all of the other good things that happen with that. One thing before I get into the final homework here, though, is if you have any way of creating little accessories for the holidays, I think that would crush, right? And I don't know if even if it doesn't have to fit in the Forerunner, right? It's just got to be a car item that I'm thinking like an air freshener, right? Like I'm thinking air freshener, like those are pretty big if you can personalize them. But even if you could come up with something that was like for that crowd, if you're able to do that, Yeah. So would you pull up here? Yeah. Halloween Forerunner drawer faceplate. There you go. Right. So same idea. So if you have this now, yes, some people are going to be looking for these, but most people are going to see it and then go, oh, I want that. How do we get them to see it? Either post in a Facebook group or you have an email list. Because if someone's in that group and they saw this, they would want to buy it. But we got to get in front of those people. So that's why I think your biggest opportunity right now is that those Facebook groups. But I think also having your own email list is even more powerful because you control when people get to see things. And then you could do one for Halloween. You could do one for Christmas with a Santa Claus or whatever, right? And then people be, pulling them in and out because they want to decorate for the holidays. So that's just something that kind of came to me as we were kind of walking through this. And it looks like you're already starting to create some of those things. But the email list to me would be top priority. I think the optimization you have is good. You're already converting pretty well. Yes, there's some things that we can tweak, but the biggest thing for you right now is to start building that email list, because if you do, we can now send them things and you're going to be able to get sales on a regular basis because you're always going to have something to talk about, whether it's a new item or maybe you're out of stock on one. Now you're back in stock. You're adding a new color to this one thing. There's so much that you can talk about to let people know. And it doesn't always have to be a sale. It could just be a new item. And then they're excited about it. So I would say get on that fishbowl method as soon as possible. And again, we'll give you a copy of that playbook if you don't already have it. We do have a course also that kind of walks people through it. We'll link that up in the description if anybody's interested in that, where we actually did a case study where we walk you through us building one from scratch, turning on Facebook ads, and then, building the list. I think we built it to over 400 email in like 14 days. But we actually walk people through that case study. But once you do it once, you can do it again and again and again and start building that email list. And it's pretty exciting. So any last questions you have for us, Dave, before we let you go?
No, I think you guys give me some great things to work on. I'll work on an email list. I'll update some of my site a little bit. And we'll go from there.
Awesome. Just keep us posted. And we'll probably do a check-in with you in like 3 or 4 months. And I think it's going to be a good Q4 for you.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Cut. Perfect, Dave. That was awesome.
All right.
Dude,
I think you're onto something.
talk about a niche. That's
crazy.
Exactly where you want to be, man. I think you're headed in the right direction. It's just some of the marketing stuff. And once you get that really dialed in, you're going to start to see those sales increase. And I know saying we only have to increase sales 5 times.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot, but it's really not with the direction that you're headed, right? You said anytime somebody posts one of those links, you see a boost in sales. Awesome. Now let's figure out how to be able to do that ourselves, which is, hey, we're doing Halloween faceplates. Hey, you know how easy it is to swap out your cup holders for Christmas? Right? And shoot them a little video, send them the video, and then send them to the green and red pack that you have or whatever it is. We can easily do that in this space. And we didn't even get into the volume stuff on the Etsy side of this, because I don't think that's actually a concern for you. Given that you can get all of the traffic from outside of Etsy, you're going to be building the Shopify site anyway. I think that's great. And I think that's going to be a place where you really start to see a lot of growth. You're going to hit a limit on the Etsy side of things with just the people looking for it on that site. But if we have a way of directing that traffic, like building the email list, then we can send them to Etsy. We can send them to Shopify. We can figure out exactly what they want, and we don't have to guess. And so I think if you can focus just on some of the marketing things moving forward, you're headed in the right direction, and you're going to hit that 30,000.
Oh yeah, I think you're going to surpass that. I mean, I think literally if you keep building this thing out and you keep, like, the email list is key. I've been doing this for over 20 years, but 15 years online, and email has been the thing that's produced the most money for us. So it's like email is number one still to this day. So if you do that, you have the ability to create products yourself, and produce them, and, even create like one-offs, like we're only going to do a 200 run of this one. So get it while you can. Like, there's a whole bunch you could do. I see this being, a 6-figure, business easy. So cool, man. Keep us posted.
Will do. Thank you.
All righty, Dave. Have a good one.
So that's a wrap for this Etsy shop audit. But if you want to watch more, well, you can find some more right here. And if you do, well, I'll see you there.